I'm Hans Lysklimt, editor of Farman.no, writing daily there. Today is February 26, 2009, and these are the market comments for today. The important thing to realize now is that this is a depression. This is not a recession. For a while, we were uncertain if this was a recession or a depression, but now I call the depression definitely. And what is the difference between a recession and a depression? The difference is that a recession is a temporary readjustment within an underlying trend. But a depression is a real trend shift. It is a realignment, a readjustment, a fundamental readjustment of the capital structure. And this is such an event. It happens only maybe every third or fourth generation. And now we're in the middle of this, and it's going to change everything. So we have to realize that everything we've learned from the last few recessions is not necessarily relevant, because depression economics is different from recession economics. It's a whole different ball game, really. And that's why this is not going to turn around anytime soon. Recessions are not over in a few months or 12 or 18 or whatever. Depressions take years. Recessions can be, I think the average for the recessions lately have been 18 months. But a depression will take much longer than this. And it's important to realize that the depression will also need to play its course. It will redefine things in the new paradigm. It will shift the capital structure in the economy. It will work on the debt levels and debt ratios and readjust these in a price discovery process into a new kind of stability that's years from now, and grow from there. So in this phase where we have this price discovery and we have this collapse, we will have a extremely volatile few years where it will be extremely difficult to navigate the waters, and extreme amounts of capital will be just plainly lost. It will be gone. And we will build a foundation for a new kind of economy and a new kind of growth phase. But that's years from now. And millions of people will be unemployed. Millions of businesses will be bankrupt and go belly up. And we have to realize also that this is necessary, because the fake economy that we've had for the last few tens of years, at least since we went off the gold standard in 1971, has built up such huge misinvestments and misallocations of capital that this had to sooner or later be adjusted and be fixed. I mean, how could we believe that all the waste and squandering that's going on in society could go on forever? Everybody knows that the government is extremely inefficient, but still we allow the government to grow and grow and grow and take up more and more of the economy. And everybody knows that housing, you can't live off buying and selling houses to each other, but we were led into this illusion, and people wanted to believe this illusion, and all these things that are just plainly, obviously wrong and can't go on forever. They just went on and on and on for decades, and it had to come to an end, and this is the end. The depression is the end. So the depression is actually the signal of a readjustment that is for the good. Because what can't go on forever won't go on forever. Now the thing with a depression is that this readjustment is for the good and for the better. So the best thing to do is to let the market forces play its course and readjust as soon as possible, so that we reach this new kind of level and a new kind of founding for a new growth phase as soon as possible. And this could take a few years, perhaps. and the sooner the better. The freer the market is to readjust itself in its price discovery process, the sooner it will find a new footing for a new growth phase. But what the government is trying to do now, by bailing out everyone and setting up this crisis package and all that, is just postponing and extending the time that the market will need to readjust itself. And they might even stop the readjustment process altogether, and that's going to be just like an economy that goes down like this and stays down. You know, we won't have a recovery process if we don't let the market readjust. And now the governments, they want to bail out the banks, they want to bail out the failed industries, they want to bail out the car industry and all that. The right thing to happen with General Motors, for example, is to let it go bankrupt and let other people pick up the pieces and start. You know, if GM were to go bankrupt, it would probably never reappear in the same fashion that it is. Some people would buy parts of it and start electric car companies. Some people might ship off entire factories down to Brazil where labor is much cheaper. Maybe some would use some of the factory areas for amusement parks or hospitals or whatever. It would be a readjustment, and when we have that readjustment, that electric car company might be tremendously successful and grow fast, and the company down in Brazil might, you know, get employment down there, and then maybe they will buy computers that Intel will make, and all this. It is what Schumpeter called creative destruction. You know, you destroy in order to allow creativity to make something new. And when the governments are postponing this by bailing out everybody, it just takes longer. And they could actually stop the process altogether, and that will bring the entire economy to a grinding halt. It will stop the whole process. So what the governments are doing now is extremely destructive. Back to market comments and how you can deal with this. The thing is to realize that now this is a depression, and how do you navigate in a depression? Well, if you're a trader and if you're very active, you can trade on this, and the volatility is actually something that's opening a lot of opportunities. But for most people, they're not able to sit on top of the market every day and trade on this. So they want to get into safe assets. And the safe asset, of course, is gold. Gold, we've been recommending gold in Farman for a long while, and you can recommend gold for different kinds of reasons. But in a depression, it's more important than ever, because the gold in a depression will keep its value. It might actually, you know, maybe gold will even fall in value in the depression. It might happen if we have a deflation in the money supply. But at least you'll come out 3 or 5 or 10 years from now with value intact, because other kinds of values might collapse entirely. And, you know, the banks have gone down by 80, 90, or 100%, the banks that go bankrupt. So by holding gold, at least you preserve some of your capital. So the thing now is to move more heavily into gold. I don't know how much gold you have, but you should move more heavily into gold. That's the only general rule of thumb I can give. And this applies pretty much to everyone. Because the volatility and the turmoil that's coming up in the next few years is going to be extreme. Now, on Farman, I do have daily comments where I also comment on trading opportunities that are coming up on a day-to-day basis. So if you have the resources and the time to do that, you can follow my daily comments. And I also have a recommended portfolio that you can follow. And I don't mean that everyone should have just gold. It's more complicated than that. But most people have no gold, and the most important advice I can give is to get some gold and do it fast, because this depression is going to take years to work out.